I'm going to go ahead and record. So I'm Tiffany Clark, and I'm one of your coaches for Healthy Families 2021 and beyond. And we've got a lot of other people on the phone. I'll probably let them introduce themselves when we start the chat. But one person who's going to help me, if you join, hopefully people are going to join, you can use the chat, and Amber Miller's going to be managing the chat. So a couple of things is you have to participate. This is kind of interesting for me to like, this is our group. So yes. But if you're watching this later, it really is important that you lean in and participate. Not only is it more fun for us, but you definitely get more benefit because you get direct access to us. A couple of housekeeping things. Make sure that you are checking your email. Many of us are sending you newsletters that will give you kind of a sneak peek of what's coming. We might even be giving you free recipes, little incentives to keep coming to the BOD group. Don't forget to do your daily checklist, and those will change next week. Every week they change them up, or we change them up just a little bit just to make it fun. Go up into the files section. We have tons of material. I'm going to talk about some of that today that you're going to want to either print or just have access on your computer. And one of those fun little items is our family fun calendar. I printed it out. It is something nice you could put on your fridge. I mean, if you're one of our customers, you would get it all the time anyways, but it's just a nice little way to keep you incentivized, and it's fun. I've been doing it actually with my family, who they're not always together, and we've been able to do it remotely. So it's been fun via text. From the other coaches, any other housekeeping or things we need to make sure we address before we get started on the presentation about the groups or the BOD app or anything else?
I've had a couple questions on how to print the files from your phone. So, and I've struggled with that just a little bit too. Did you print most of yours from the computer?
Yeah, so at least for me, the only way I can print is if I download it to a document on my phone. And I have the option of doing that and using a remote or a Bluetooth printer. So it depends on if you have that set up. If you have the ability on your phone, like an Android or an Apple phone, to convert them to a PDF, and sometimes there's different apps for that. Sometimes I'm able to do it easy. I don't know, it just kind of hit or miss. But I can tell you when I'm going to print a document, I actually go to my my computer and print it. It's just easier. So
Okay.
that's good. Anything else from the other coaches? Anything you're hearing from your members? No. Okay. Well, I'm going to go ahead and get started. I did create a presentation just to keep myself honest. So I'm going to start that. And I think I can, hold on a second. Oh, maybe. For whatever reason, I can't minimize the people. Is that going to bug you if that's over there? Oh, well, if not, I don't know. Okay, so all of us have taken a different week to present for you. And the topic that I drew the short straw on was I don't have the time or the motivation, right? So it could be either or, but in my mind, those two are connected. So it was a nice topic for me. Like I said, I'm Tiffany Clark. I am a nurse by background. I've been a coach. How long, Norma? A couple years, maybe? Probably active year and a half. Absolutely love what I do. And one of the reasons that I love what I do is because I've gotten some of this stuff I'm going to show you down pat, and it's made my life easier. And we have a special guest who is over there knitting. Her name is Liz Dacqui, and she's going to get on here for a few minutes and share her story too, because it's been fun watching her learn these routines and apply that to her life. So, because I have my coaches and I have Liz on here, we'll just kind of have some fun with this. But when you think about like motivation or time, what are things that you think of? Like, are there struggles? Is it opportunities? Or, what kind of comes to mind? I just wanted some like brainstorming and thoughts from you all.
I'm Heather. I'll share. Can you hear me?
I can barely hear whoever that is.
Okay.
Heather. Can you hear me
Oh,
now?
Heather, hey, now I can see you.
Um, I'll say, first of all, I am a coach as well. About active coaching, it's been about a year and it's slow here and there, but I would say first as an individual, sorry, I'm gonna have kids in the background for a little bit. The motivation was a struggle and the time management was a struggle. I didn't know where to start. Time management was a huge thing. I was a stay-at-home mom, so I didn't know how to prioritize. I was trained to just, kids were my box of needs, and I didn't know how to put myself in there. So, as Tiffany said, this has completely changed my mind, and it's changed the way we work our whole family.
Yeah, that's good. It probably makes you a better mama just by making yourself a priority. That's really good. Anybody else? Any initial thoughts? And Liz, I'll get to you toward the end. Anything
Okay.
that when people ask you questions like, I just don't have the time, or, I don't have the motivation. Could you come to my house and tell me to work out, or make sure you eat these foods? Do you guys hear that a lot?
I didn't get that.
Ooh,
Good.
well, that was weird. Even Siri didn't get it.
I think that's Norma's. Is Norma's car talking to us?
No, that was my Siri watch.
Oh,
that, I can even relate to Heather with the time, with your kids and everything. I've even found like in my season of life, when my kids are grown, even with my husband, he offices at home. So he's not always home, but he offices there. And when he's there, I was like working in the kitchen and then like work out. It was just like if they saw me,
Yeah.
it was like, let's just talk to her. Let's just ask her to do that, and so I had to like remove myself from
Mhm.
being in everyone's vision when I had something to do that, work like if I was ready to work out, I had to like go ahead, even if I don't finish drinking my pre-workout, I had to go ahead and get out of the room and into my workout space
Mhm.
so that people didn't see me and be like, oh, hey mom, one more thing, or
Yeah.
did you happen to call the such and such,
Yeah. No, that's
so
a
just like
very good point.
removing myself, like Heather says, from their box,
Yeah.
helped a lot.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. Yeah, because it's, I think we're all females. It is very hard to remember we're also in the priority. But I think, at least for me, and you'll see that in a minute, is I want to do everything. That sometimes I get overwhelmed with all of it, right? So then nothing gets done. Or I just work myself to the bone and I'm a miserable human being. I check the boxes. I'm just not having a quality of life. So I think there's like extremes, and I feel like in my life I've done them all. And so one of the things I'm going to share with you today is at least the way that I've figured out how to put myself as a priority, but also the goals that get me there, right? So I started aligning. So the first thing I want to think about is, or let you guys know, and I'm sorry if you guys see the screen, I apologize. I can't seem to get rid of the photos of us, but
we don't see
you
it.
don't see it?
Mm-mm.
Oh, good. Okay. So I want to make sure that you guys leave here with something tangible, even if you watch this recording later. I want you to be able to take a personal assessment of how you're spending your time. I'm going to give you a little quick and dirty way to do it. There's lots of books on this. I'm not going to try to get into that space, but I've figured out a quick way to help identify. Then I want you, we're also going to say, like, what are you doing every day and how does that align to your goals? And then this tool, this should be something that you should be able to take and apply. I'm going to show you a couple of different time management tools, different examples I use. And the idea that small, little incremental or almost insignificant tasks, if you do them over and over every single day, are going to add up to big change. Right. And I've seen that directly in my life. I know many of you all, and it's been a lot of us in our customers. So I'm going to tell you a little story, and they're my friends. They're my made up friends. There's Mary, Sally, and Karen. Okay. So we're going to talk a little bit about Mary. Mary is pretty intense.
Any?
She's done really well in work, and she's decided, you know what? It's the time of my life. I want to reap my rewards. So she's taking some cooking classes. She's learning how to drink fancier wine, better cocktails. She's got a group of women that she goes out and has wine on the regular. She's starting to get into like Netflix binges. She's decorating her house. She's got the big TV. All her kids sit around and they watch their television. So this is what their life's been like. And, you know, she's fairly positive, but she's really just thinking about herself and her luxuries of life. And then you have Sally, my friend Sally, who is kind of the negative Nelly. She complains about everything, but she really just doesn't have solutions, right? She's just schlepping through life, just doing her thing. She's not really trying harder in her marriage. She's not really trying harder in her diet, but she'll complain that she's not feeling good. She, you know, just likes her job okay. She just would rather complain. And then there's Karen, little Karen over there, who wants to somewhat take control of her life, and she wants to do this in a small manner. So she starts reading some self-help books, maybe listening to some more podcasts. She decides that she wants to get some sleep, so she starts setting a timer so she's in bed at a certain time. She starts tracking her food. She thinks, well, you know, if I can just maybe give up 150 calories a day, maybe it'll work for me. She starts adding a couple more vegetables to her plate. You know, she has a walking group. She joins a bod group. She's not really sure, but she's going to do a couple of workouts a week. Seems fun and it's interactive. What do you think happens to my friends Mary, Sally, and Karen 2 to 3 years down the road? What do you think is going to happen to old Mary, who's just been living life large, eating well, drinking well, having a good time? What's she going to be like 2 or 3 years down the road?
She's probably got a weight problem. She's probably pre-diabetic. She's probably got trouble with her blood pressure. She's probably got all kinds of problems, is my guess.
That seems familiar to at least me. What about old Sally? Oh, negative Sally. She doesn't really do much.
Well, she's still going to be negative.
Yeah.
She's probably even going to be she's already like, she's deflated. Like she's sort of given up. Like,
Yep. Think she's happy in her marriage or her work or
No.
she's probably just going through the motions.
Yep. Okay, so what about old Karen? Who was just making some small changes in her life every day. What do you think she's like 2 or 3 years if she just kept doing that?
She's probably reached her goals because she's given herself lots of time to do it. So she's even small increments. She's reached her goals.
And big changes. She now sees big.
Yep. All right, so let me show you some data. This is pretty impressive. They did some studies, and these pictures show men, so forgive me, but they actually took people that were in these categories. The person who was overindulging a little bit at a time, not a lot, not like eating Taco Bell every day, but didn't really monitor it, kind of a sleep. Then you had the person who was just average, not too much of anything. They just, you know, and then the person who made the small changes. So you're right, Karen or Mary, who was really overindulging and just asleep at the wheel. It's not that she didn't care. She actually cared so much. And I was very guilty of this in my life at a certain point where it was all about my celebration. I deserve these things. I deserve the better wine. I deserve the trips. I deserve the whatever, fill in the blank. but I wasn't doing the things that aligned to my goals. And then there's Sally, who just status quo. She's not going to get better. She's not going to get worse. But the person in my friends who did so well is Karen, because Karen chose to do small things every single day. And this is called the compound effect. I mean, many of you have read this, 10x it, all kinds of things. But every single day she put things in place that didn't tip the scale. It wasn't like she had to go, go run a marathon. She wasn't going that crazy, but she lost the weight. She had a better relationship. She actually got a promotion at work because she was reading personal development. She was changing her mindset. She learned to love her husband more. She turned to have better strategies with her children, and she probably had better friendships. And old Mary, because she wasn't watching her weight, she was exactly what Liz said. She was 33 pounds heavier 2.5 years later. She was pre-diabetic. She was hypertensive. She had all those things. And she looks back 27 months and doesn't know how she got there because it wasn't big. She wasn't ordering a pizza. She wasn't eating like the 600-pound, it happened over time. And so if you find yourself wherever, I've been in all the places where I'm at now, thank God, is Karen, but it took me a long time to learn Karen. And so what I wanted to do was share with you that it is these small things. It is putting the priorities in an order that makes sense for you so that it may not feel like 10 months, 20 months of these hard works. Like I'm working out, I'm eating the greens, I'm drinking the water, I'm tracking my sleep. Doesn't feel immediately because you're not a size 0 anymore, but you will benefit because it's a lifelong journey. So hopefully that resonates a little bit.
I think too, Tiff, to add to that about, not having time.
Yeah.
So I think a lot of times it also is, I don't have time to, I don't want to take the time to wait for those changes either. So like that 33 pounds over the 23 months or how many months it was, couple years, I'd be interested with that study, and I'm sure it's out there, that how long when Mary decided to be a Karen, which is kind of funny because the Karen thing,
I know.
but when Mary decided to be a Karen, like I bet it took longer than the 2 years.
Yeah, it probably did, debate, especially her age. And again, I'm guilty of like a decade of being a Mary.
Yeah.
My 30s and early 40s were a Mary, it's my late 40s to my 50s, I've been a Karen. So you're exactly right. And I think what's interesting, and you're going to hear from us, if you think, and if you've ever seen me talk before, that there's a quick fix, there's a pill for you, it doesn't exist. Because we're in healthcare, there are things that will give you short-term fix. You can do the cabbage diet and lose 10 pounds to get into a dress. But the minute you go to that party and have a couple of cocktails and the appetizers, you're busting out of that dress before you leave the party, right? Your body has a memory. And so that's why it's like, it's hard sometimes because we live in a very immediate gratification society. And unfortunately, that's just not reality. And so, they'll even hear like, if you have a credit card, we'll sell it to you. That's not the goal here. The goal here with at least us in our heart is to get you healthy and to understand that it is a journey. And we definitely have all the solutions, but the person it starts with is you, right? At the end of the day. So I have a little fun exercise. If you guys have a piece of paper, you can just literally, and you don't have to do this now, but you can do this later. I do this with some of my clients. I take a paper and I say, cut it, fold in half. Okay. On one side of the paper, I want you to spend a few minutes writing down all your goals. And I just wrote a few that I was like, before I started, like, I want to live a healthy lifestyle. I want to lose weight. I want to have less wrinkles. I want to have a better relationship. I want to have a more open dialogue with my teenage son. I want a more positive outlook. I don't know. I want to run a 5K. I want to pay off debt. I want to plan a vacation. I don't know, whatever, all the things, just list them. And you can do this in depth. This is how people a lot of times do their vision boards or, work processing and stuff. You can focus it on just health, or you can make it like everything you want. And then when you get done with that, I want you to flip it on the other side of the page, and I want you to write down everything you do every day. And this is going to take some exercise, but did you get up in the morning and hit snooze? Did you scroll social media for 20 or 30 minutes before you got out of bed? Did you watch the news more than you needed to? Did you get on the phone with your mom, your sister, your friend and complain for an hour? Did you fight with the kid? Did you fight with your husband? Maybe you did a craft. Maybe you like crafts. Maybe you did listen to a podcast. Maybe you read a book. Maybe you sat on the couch and watched an infomercial on Beachbody. Maybe you went to a job you hate and spent 8 hours hating it. So when you list all that, then you open up the page and you start drawing lines, and you start asking yourself, do the things I do, does it align to one of my goals? And when you have more things that are going across the page that line up, then you've hit a sweet spot in your life, my friend. And this is something that I do pretty much on the regular, because priorities change, life gets the best of us. But when I feel upside down is the only way I can describe it, I know it's because I'm not aligned. I'm doing things because other people tell me I need to do them. And I learned something from Rachel Hollis. If it's not a hell yeah, it's a heck no. I don't do anything that Tiffany Clark doesn't want to do. And it's taken me a long time to have the confidence to do that. That goes in my job, that goes in my marriage, that goes with my friendships, my neighbors, my sister, everyone. Because at the end of the day, I have to look in the mirror. Right? And I have to be so proud of what I did that day. It means so much to me that and I'll show you in a second how I put my time to align to my goals. I'm not saying I don't serve other people, don't get me wrong, but I don't do it just so I don't feel guilty. I let that baloney go a long time ago. Okay, so this is something too you can use on your kids. I've used this on my youngest when he was getting very overwhelmed with everything he quote unquote had to do in life. Oh, and then we did this exercise. I said, maybe there's a couple of things that can come off your plate because they don't align to what you need to do. Okay, so again, that's something really, it's cheap, it's free, and you can do that. That's like step one. That's easy. Then you at least have an awareness. You're not asleep at the wheel. You're not the Mary, not paying attention, and you're not really Sally just complaining about stuff you can't control, because many things on that list you definitely can control. I love Netflix. I don't need to watch as much as I love it. And so those are the things that you have to make decisions. So a couple of things that I'll show you. In the BOD app, I created, it's a very simple tracker. It looks kind of light. I don't know if you can really see it here, but basically it has like the days of the week. It's called the weekly tracker. And then what I did is on the right, it has most important, less important, non-important. So it's a good way if you start putting things in this column of what to do, you can draw little pencil lines. Maybe you can't like stop the PTA or stop doing something you don't like to do immediately, but you can start taking it off your list so you can move things that you need to do to get to your goals. So there's something like that. The other thing that I'm a huge fan of, and I hope you can see this, I heard a man speak by the name of Ed Milet, And he basically said that you have 24 hours in a day. That's like 3 days if you really are conscious about it. And so my husband made me this, and I have never really shared it more out of here, but it basically, I start my day at 6 a.m. and at noon, I have a full day. I actually get up at 5, sometimes 4:45. And I have everything from my morning routine, my prayer and meditation, my personal development, drinking my workout, my workout. Like, this was a Sunday, so you can see when I went to church. Then I have my afternoon work day and my evening. And what this allowed me, for somebody who is ADD, I know Amber and I both have it, right? I would be ping-ponging between everything that was important, all these shiny things. I put this here so I don't lose track. And I put this right next to wherever I'm working so I can see what I need to be focusing on, even on a work day, guys. And then I asked myself after 8 hours, did I get what I wanted to get done? And I give myself a score, honestly, 100%, 50%. Did I love those 8 hours? Did I love what I was doing? Did I love the person I was talking to? If you ever know me, I will tell you I loved you because I mean it. Like, and so I'll say 100%. Was I happy? Did I bring joy? Did I bring joy to myself? Did I bring joy to others? Then I'm like, did what I do align to goals I had? And like, did I move the dial? I want to know that I did something that was moving. Did I get stronger in my workout? Did I pray harder in church? Did I have a more meaningful conversation with my son? And I'm constantly asking, because I truly believe that faith times your focus times your effort equals success. And so I live by that. Like, I'm probably gonna get a tattoo at some point. But yeah, but then I'll put little things in. So that is something that I do to keep myself. And it's not hard. I created it myself. But I don't let the day manage me. I manage the day. So in the PowerPoint, I actually skipped all this. Piece of paper, fold in half, your goals, what you do, and then do they support each other? Okay. So hopefully this was a simple something even you can do yourself, or like I said, with your kids or other people in your family. If you have family that like always seems overwhelmed, it's pretty easy thing to do. So
Yeah, it's funny that you showed this, because we don't know what each other's showing, because we're just kind of, and just before this, we were at the dinner table, having dinner table, and my 17-year-old has just been wound up tighter than a tick for a lot of weeks now.
yeah.
And just, he had a meltdown today. And finally at the dinner table, we were just like, what is going on? And he unloaded. And when you said something about doing this with one of yours,
Mhm.
we're doing this after, because I think this is really going to help him see where he's really stressed, but also areas that he can help himself.
There is something called congruence. And what I understand that word to mean, and I've really tried to embrace it, is you feel upside down, you feel less than a person when you're not aligned, when your actions are not aligned to who you are.
Mhm.
And it really, once I learned that, it's actually made me a better parent, because then I'm not like, why are they acting that way?
Right.
It's because they don't know how to, we've learned to mask it better, but we mask it with wine, food, sex, spending, all the things, right?
Right.
Those are coping mechanisms for adults. Kids just act out. So
Yeah.
yeah, it's been an interesting thing for me to learn. And this is my personal development. This has nothing to do with Beachbody. So
So I do have a question too, Tiff. So the question I have with the your 6 hours in a day.
Yeah.
So are you scheduling just your stuff, or are you also putting on there something that you're going to have to do for
For work.
your family? Like, so
Yeah.
like, I know that Blaine's going to interrupt me at 10 o'clock because maybe he has a question that is coming, something like that.
Maybe that's if I knew in advance. I usually do this the day of. Usually what I do is I put time blocks. So it's like I know I'm going to be Cigna as my employer. I'm working Cigna from 9 to noon, and I know that I have an hour. So is that going to be when I get my workout in? Am I going to do a beach body thing? Am I going to call my sister or whatever? So I try to plan it. And it could be, I just want to put the leash on the dog and go on a walk.
Yeah. Okay. That was what I was wanting. So,
Mhm.
so your
Yeah.
day is really, you're planning your whole day,
Whole day.
whether,
Yeah.
it's family stuff, pet stuff,
Yeah.
work stuff.
It's everything, because it goes back to when I would work on work, my paid job, I'd feel guilty I wasn't doing kid stuff.
Mm-hmm.
It's allowed me to have more focus on where I should be. And I'm not saying it's always perfect, but at least and then when I get distracted by the Blaine interruption, like you said, then I can go back and like, oh, what am I supposed to be doing? I'll even put the chapter of the book I want to read. The more prescriptive I am in the plan, the better I'll be.
Gotcha.
When it's vague. Uh-huh.
Yeah, the other thing about that is if, there's the chic influencer, Melanie Mitro and Katie, they say schedule everything right down to your shower.
Yeah.
And if it doesn't happen that day, then like Tiffany says, sorry, you can move back, you can look back at what you were supposed to do and maybe what you didn't get done, and maybe you need to find a place for that tomorrow.
Yes. It's important
Like
to take
if you
a shower.
haven't showered in a couple of days, you might
It's
want to
time.
you might want to squeeze that in tomorrow.
That's right. Your family will give you all the time you need. They'll be like, it's time.
So-
No, that's a good point. Cause yeah, I do that. I compare, I usually go, and this is way too much probably, but I plan my weekly goals, my monthly, but I think from a simplicity is like, you got to have a system, because otherwise, again, everything manages you. I mean, Heather and Grace both have littles. They could literally do everything for their children and then get in bed and be like, I'm not sure what I did. I remember those days. I wish I'd have had a system, honestly. But yeah, you're right. Absolutely.
When you don't get to everything on your list you wanted to, how do you handle that?
Nothing. I just put percentages. So you'll see on this one, in my evening one, was like, I got 25% of my goals done. 50% of I felt like I moved the dial 50. I only loved 25% what I was doing. I was only 25% happy, and I didn't move the dial as 0. But you know what it does? It just gives me validity. Like, okay, that's just what it was.
Okay.
I've learned not to have as much attachment, but like exactly what Norma was saying, I just fix it the next day,
Okay.
but yeah. But if you really look at my life, if you took all of these notebooks, I was Karen because they're small incremental things. I wasn't training to be a bodybuilder. I wasn't getting a dietitian degree. I wasn't doing anything, but I've had significant weight loss and strength. And, so it to me, it was like, this is kind of cool that it worked out that way. So yeah, the
I'm
best
monitoring
advice.
the chat. Sorry. I'm
Oh.
monitoring the chat. And Norma says you better call her when the tattoo thing happens.
Oh yeah. You want me to get a tattoo? Let's get one. I gotta figure out what it is. I'm gonna get one. So in the template section, there is the one that I told you about. If not, find a daily calendar, create a calendar, ask me, Liz, I'm gonna get her on here in a second, see what she uses. But again, divide your day in time blocks. Don't leave it to chance, because then you're leaving your life to chance. And things that are important, even if you just want to schedule, this is when I'm going to meal prep. This is when I'm going to get my workout in. This is when I'm going to go to bed. This is when I'm going to wake up. This is when it's family time, right? You heard Heather earlier, like if family time could be from the time they wake up to the time they sleep, but if she wants to say this is like when we're going to play the games or whatever. And then again, review at the end of the day. So those are kind of my sharing. The other thing that I have on here is, how do you develop your own plan? None of us are going to know where you want to be or what your ideal health state should be, because we're all in different stages of our life and different priorities. Maybe you don't want to get in a bikini. You just want to be able to walk the stairs. I don't know. But the only way you're going to do that is to find this success measures and like the small incremental tasks that get you there, and then a way to measure it. You know, is the scale going down? Am I able to climb the stairs with more ease? Am I able to sleep better? So that's why these little things matter. And then, you know, it's kind of like we were saying with congruence, is to live a vibrant life is be aligned to your goals. You're just going to be a better human. Here's another morning routine. I think this is an example of mine that I had shared with one of my other groups, just telling people like, how do I do it? The biggest thing I do, and it took me a long time, is I do not hit snooze. I did have COVID a few weeks ago and I hit snooze and I felt awful, but that was the only time that I can remember doing that in years. So it is, again, I don't snooze my life. I get up. If I say I'm gonna get up at 5, I just get my behind out of bed. So you can see that there.
So as a disclaimer,
Uh-huh.
I have used Tiffany's morning routine and I have also shared it. And for those people who are not morning people,
Yes.
me, you don't have to get up at 5:30.
No,
you
do
can
not.
change
Your day
those
could start at
times on that
9.
paper. I gave it to a couple people who are like, I'm not getting up at 5:30. I was like, no, that's just an
That-
example.
That's me because I like the quiet and I get more done in those 2 hours than I do probably the rest. So this is just my last little, like, you know, parting words is just daily small habits add up, right? Consistency trumps when motivation ceases to exist. So if you're looking for motivation, motivation will only get you so far. You can build your motivation by aligning your tasks to your goals. And you know, I put little affirmations everywhere. They're all over my house. You know, I put them on my sheets. I'm not saying that's not part of my life, but it's the consistency. It's the, oh, my pants feel a little smaller or looser. You know, I'm sleeping better. I have more energy. That's my motivation because I want to keep feeling that way instead of crappy. And this is from one of my favorite personal development leaders, Dean Graziosi. We only have 24 hours in a day. And if we're not doing the things that help the people we love or ourselves, then is that something we should really be doing? And I just think that's so powerful and so simple and exactly the truth. So that is it from me. I wanted to introduce Liz Dacqui. If she wants to just share just a few minutes, like, you know, how did she get here? How does she learn to manage all this time? Because I think you're pretty organized before, but making yourself a priority. Love to hear it.
So I guess I have to give Tiffany some credit because she was the one that taught me that the whole routine thing. So this is just what I do. And frankly, I got it all from Tiffany's group, just from listening in on the calls and reading the posts on Facebook and whatever. But anyway, I just get up early. I've always been a morning person. I've never been one to sleep in. So usually, you know, we get up around here between 5 and 6 and probably maybe 7 on the weekends. But anyway, you know, if you get up early, nobody else is up. So I just get up and I go into the kitchen and I sit down and I have my little, I found a little app and it's like a checklist. So, because basically every day, every morning, I need to get through the same thing. So I sit there and if it's check my personal email or I do my affirmations. So for affirmations, what I've done is just all those pretty little posts that you see on Facebook, like the little sayings and the little pictures and whatever. I just save them in my photos. And so every morning I just go through a few of them. And if I see one that really, I think is really going to help me get through the day, then I post it in my journal. And then I have an electronic journal and I'll sit there and I journal. And I also, after I finish journaling, I do my gratitude. So I try to think of 4 things that I'm grateful for. So I put that in my journal. And anyway, I just go through and I tick off. And by the end, I know that I have to have had get my coffee in and start getting my water in. And then I go out to the garage and I do my workout. And so all those things are for me. And I actually, now I have a puppy, so I have to get him. Anyway, so that's just how, you know, if you get through that first hour or so, and actually I've kind of, because I work from home, so I don't have to rush out. So I'm going to just tell you the first 2 hours of the day are mine. It used to be just an hour. Now I made the whole decision to do, oops, can you guys see me? Okay.
Yeah.
So I just went to 2 hours. So just so I don't have to rush. But anyway, I have this, like I said, I just have this list of things and I just go through and I check it off. And that's when I reach out in the morning to people. Sometimes I send them little memes and things, and that's how I do it.
I love it. I love it. You're a great motivator in at least my Facebook group that you are participating in. And it's been fun to watch you kind of show that self-discipline. And it's really just, like I said, starting with that list, that morning routine. And you're like me. I love my 2 hours in the morning. I wouldn't give it up for anything. It's awesome.
Yep.
All
Yep.
right. Well, thank you.
It's just a good routine to get into, and it just sets you up for at least if the first 2 hours you're happy and everything is positive, the whole rest of the day can go to hell, but it doesn't matter because you had that first 2 days.
That's right.
First 2
You
hours.
own the day. You own the morning,
right.
you own the day, you own the day, you own the week, you own the week, you own the month, you own the month, you own the year. And then
There
you
you
own your life, my friend. So that's the way I believe it. All right. Very cool. Thank you. All right. Heather, Grace. What happened to Grace? Did we lose her? Norma, Amber. Now we're in the round table. Anything y'all want to add? Any other pearls of wisdom to share with our recorded friends?
I think the one, like Liz just used the word that I was thinking of most of the time when you were talking, and with the first part with motivation, is really motivation does come from discipline. And I think the routines that you've shared and the sort of the ways to find some of that time, so you have to be motivated to even want to do that. So something's motivating you to want to do that. It could be you don't like the way you look in your clothes, or you don't like the way you're feeling, or heaven forbid you have an illness and now we have to take control of our health, or you just feel like your whole family's falling apart around you, whatever the case may be. So the motivation to try to find that time and to get into that routine, but having discipline toward those routines that you put in place is really what I think kept me motivated.
Yeah.
So, when I first started my journey 9-ish years ago, and I've told this story, I know that some of you have heard it, but I'm not a morning person, and I was not going to get up before work to do a workout because that sounded horrible. And so I'd go to work and I would look at work, and I'm clinical by nature too. I was in CAT scan radiology, and I would look at the clock and it would be 30 minutes before I have to get off work. And I would literally start dreading the drive home, because I knew that when I got home, I was motivated to change my lifestyle as far as taking care of myself, taking care of that time. The kids knew that if you were not bleeding or partial amputation or whatever, this is my time. They knew that. And they were younger. They were like 8 and 12. So I'm not as young as some, but young. I'd come home and I had my routine, and I was motivated to do it, but I had that discipline to do it, to not stop and put a load of laundry in the washing machine, not just make sure that the kids are getting their homework started, whatever. I had to have the discipline behind that motivation.
Yeah.
And once you do that enough, these routines, and you really do get into a rhythm of life. I think, and it kind of resonated a lot with what Liz was saying, like she's in that rhythm of life. And so these routines really become very natural. They don't feel as like I'm just checking the boxes. It's truly that's your life now.
When you're getting that positive feedback because your body's feeling better, you're getting like, oh, you look great. And it's just, it's positive.
And that's what helps that motivation too.
Yeah. And then it's becoming,
positive
this is who you are. No, that's so true.
Yep.
Good point.
Yep.
Good point. Anybody else?
I wanted to share a quote with you that our pastor said, not this past weekend, but the weekend before. He said, discipline is choosing what you want most over what you want now. Discipline is choosing what you want most over what you want now. And I thought that was significant, even though he was talking about like growing in faith and growing in your walk with God. It can also be applicable to so many other areas, and definitely
Yeah.
time management
Yeah.
and improvement, like your fictitious friends there that you had.
Yeah.
But and then in addition to that, I wanted to say one, I think, and I don't know who this strikes a chord with. It doesn't bother me as much as it used to, probably because I'm older. But you know, there comes a time, especially when you're early on in changing your ways or making little changes, that other people want to make fun of you or bring you down or say, oh, well, I know what you're going to do. You're just going to go work out, or, you know, or they come around with cupcakes and they're like, oh, you're not getting one because you're trying to eat healthy. You know, it's just, it can be, that can be tough. It sounds like it wouldn't be, but I feel like it can be, especially if you're new in your journey of making changes. So, you know, sometimes you just have to either, my favorite thing to say is adopt a phrase. Come up with something. It doesn't have to be like a jab or a comeback, but just come up with a phrase that you can say, you know, or you could even just make fun of yourself or whatever. Just be like, yep, got to get rid of these thunder thighs, you know, or whatever. But you just have to roll with it basically and not let that derail you. Because they're just trying to bring you down so that it looks better for them because they're not making the strides that perhaps you are. So
I don't know if you've ever heard me share this story, and I think I got it from a John Maxwell presentation, but he says, has anyone ever been crabbing? And I had never been crabbing. I love crabs. You can take one crab and put him in a pail and he'll climb out. You put two of them or more, they pull each other down. Right, so then nobody gets out of the pail and they all get eaten. So, you know, it's human nature. Unfortunately, they want to pull you down to the lowest common denominator, but that's not why you're on this journey. You know, you really are. I love that idea of, you know, not what you want now, but later. And you know, and that's why I was saying it's small choices every day. And if you do eat the cupcake, maybe the next time you won't. Like, it's not all or nothing. It's just when the majority of what you're doing is a positive change. That's when you're going to see it.
And I know this doesn't really relate to time, but you know, just on the subject of the cupcake or being offered something, sometimes I just tell people that I'm coaching, offer to share it, offer to have a bite, offer to cut a sliver. That way you're sort of partaking in that social, whatever it may look like, yet you're not engorging on like this whole thing that's going to totally derail you off of your tracks. So, you know, split it, share it. Hey, I'll have a bite, you know, if you can
do it. Or eat it and keep on.
Yeah, and I would say
I'm the person who would probably have the cupcake, so I don't have that much discipline. This is why I've had to create checklists for myself. So,
but I would also say, you know, yes, do that for 100% if you want to. And I mean, and I'm glad you brought it up, Norma, because you're so right that it is a I don't know, it's like, oh, you know, so you're gonna, it's almost like people take offense to it. But I will say that I actually, a few years ago, and if anyone that watches this or that's on it wants to use this, it's fine. And it is a little bit harsh. However, I was in a situation like that several years ago, and this person was just not at all supportive. I'll just put it that way. It was a work thing. And finally, I just asked this person, I said, if I told you I was struggling with alcohol, would you bring a beer to work and offer it to me?
Ooh.
And that was like, it kind of, and I was like, it's the same thing. You know, I love food and I love all food and I love a lot of food. I mean, I have always been a big eater. I'm not a picky eater except for eggplant. No, thank you. But everything else, I love food and I love chips and cheese and crackers. Like, I mean, I love it. And I'm a big eater. So I had to, that's why Ultimate Portion Fix worked for me in the beginning of my journey, because I I was eating healthy a lot, but not portion wise. And food was my thing. And so that's what what it did help was for that person to see that you don't have to only be addicted to alcohol and cigarettes and other drugs. There is a such thing as a food addiction. There's a such thing as, you know, sodas and, you know, all that kind of stuff. Addictions come in all flavors and sizes. So
That's powerful.
it really did help. It was. I mean, and I didn't do that in the beginning. It was when I was just like, okay, I'm done with you and your comments. So I'm glad you did bring that up, Norma.
No, that's good. All right. Heather, anything from you? I think we lost Grace. What happened to her?
I still see Grace.
I'm still here,
Oh,
Tiffany.
no, I'm sorry. I just didn't see you. Maybe it's my crazy view.
I guess not anything. It's not too different. I
You
use
got
a
your
binder.
notes. Yeah, we got yours. Look at that.
Or I guess it's a planner. And the person has like follower on Instagram. The to-do lists that are just like your daily checklist. And then I utilize the each day. And I'll, like Tiffany, I will typically on Saturday or Sundays plan my whole next week of at least just like my kids' appointments or whatever is happening with the to-do. And then I will go through and fill in like what I want to get done on that day. I'm loving my kids out of the house and my husband. So I've really, and I love organizing. So I'm trying to create little like clean out husband's closet this week.
You're glad my own
And I'll just start with like do all our t-shirts and but it's checking things off for me that, and like Tiffany said, when I see that it's done, I feel, I guess, better as a person than just ending my day and being like, what did you even do?
Yeah.
Because half the time I'm doing it like on, you know, extra fast speed, but at least I can come back to this and see, and I'll push things to the next day. And incorporating this daily has just made like my kids know, they'll look at the planner and be like, oh yeah,
That's great.
mom wants a, like, because I'll have things, I'll highlight theirs in color. Mom wants me to put my laundry away and my highlights blue.
Well, think
So-
about the gifts that you're giving them, just that they've seen you do this and they're young. So and they're all boys, right? You have all boys.
Yeah.
Like their future spouses are going to love you. You
That's
have
what I'm
set
hoping
them up.
for.
I'm like, I wish I had it for my boys.
Accepting applications, no.
Awesome. Oh, that's so good. So good.
But yeah, I just it's figuring out what I wanted done and then how to make it happen in the day, and setting yourself on fire to get it done.
Love it. Love it.
Hey, Heather, what would you say to people in your life, perhaps that, or have you ever had people in your life, perhaps that want to, maybe not intentionally, but sabotage that timetable that you are trying to follow and your list that you are really trying to get checked off and know that you need to stay with in order to stay on track during the day?
So that is, I guess, something I've had to learn. I would say in my 20s, because a little backstory, my husband and I have been together since we were 15. So I know his family extremely well. His mom is one of my best friends. And so all of our 20s, we were having our kids, getting married and all that. And it hasn't been since, I would say, coaching, honestly. So the last 2 years that I have really honed into, if it's not what's going to make me happy in the day and make everything else in my life, my family first, it's not important. I've probably lost some friends because of this, but I value the family time and the time that I get to be with them way more than I did, going out for whatever drink it was that they were celebrating. So I feel left out sometimes, I guess you could say, but I just choose to see the joy in my kids. I brought them in this world, and they're only going to enjoy time with mom so long. So I am trying to go full force into enjoying it with them, because this breaks my heart, but I remember the joyous times of my life with my dad. And I always remember my mom like doing things. And it was because she was like trying to do it all. She was doing the cleaning, she was doing the gardening, and there was vacations. It was fun with mom, but like the daily giggles and all that was with my dad. So I guess my my dad has inspired me to want to be that parent with my kids. But I mean, it takes a lot out on a woman, or I guess in my marriage, I want the house a certain way. I want, so my husband, just goes with the flow. If that's what I say, we need to do, you got to fold the laundry that way. That's the way it's getting folded. He could care less.
That's awesome. Well,
but in Heather and all of that, from what you've shared, so you are being that mom you wanted to be, you're finding joy in your children, and you're still making time for yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you feel like you would have the energy to find all that joy in your kids and have the desire, like, oh, this is so important, if you weren't finding that time for yourself?
No, because I tried it. We made the decision to have me quit my career. I mean, I have 2 degrees, and I was on my way to what I thought, my degree was for, and I wasn't happy. The family wasn't happy. And I realized that this was more important. And now I'm utilizing my time to make what makes our family happy.
You are amazing. Like, makes me want to cry. Like, I love seeing young mamas like that. No, I think it's great. And yeah, you're an example for us to follow. You should be very proud.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
Heather, when I was I guess I had been like eight or so years into my nursing career, I was working like fast paced. It was PCU, but it was really ICU-ish. And I quit to be home with my kids too for 5 years. And I remember having lots of different feelings. People would say, aren't you like a nurse? Like, didn't you go to college? Like, are you working? And it would really bother me at first. But then when you realize the magnitude of your decision, and like you sound like you realize it, that impact of being with your kids and taking them. I mean, my kids are 18, 20, and 23 now, and they have a lot of memories. Mom, remember when you used to take us to the strawberry picking patch? Remember when we used to do this? And so just don't ever doubt. And I tell everybody, I was like, there was no eating out, and we drank water. So maybe that's where I learned to drink my water every day. But you know, and there was no money for a babysitter, but we knew that, and that was okay. So
Yeah.
I applaud you too, that you know, that you're making this sacrifice, and it's hard when you've prepared your you've utilized yourself in a, you know, graduating from college and working towards a career and stuff like that, but it'll be there when you're
Right.
That's true.
Yeah.
Very cool. All right, Miss Grace, any parting words from you?
Wow, Heather, I've got a lot to learn from you. Hang on. So I'm still working on my time management. This is my checklist. Or I usually keep it up on here and I try to do everything that I can in one day. But being home is a lot harder than I thought. I was home for 2 years too, Heather. So I applaud you for everything that you've done and the decision that you have made. I was ready to go back. I told my husband, I mean, he allowed me to stay home and we were able to make that happen. But I was 2 years, I'm done. I'm ready to go back to the workforce. And it was hard. It was hard with the kids. But yeah, I'm still working on time management. It's not perfect, but I do get up in the mornings and I have my own routines too. I am a morning person, so I enjoy that morning time to myself before the house wakes up. And then it's me taking care of everybody. But the scheduling of the workouts has helped me incorporate my workouts in time to myself. So I'm still learning, but it's a lot better than you know, putting everybody first and not making making time for myself. So, and the journey has been a lot easier for me, I guess, because I've seen the results and I've seen the motivation is there for me to be healthy and to lose the weight, and I've seen it, and I'm just fired up to help everybody else because this group has been my lifeline in helping me with the accountability and the friendship and just the teachings. And so that's my drive to help others too, because I thought I could do it by myself and it never worked, even with just regular workouts, because I love to eat too. And I love carbohydrates and desserts and chips, and I bake a lot, and it's hard to not eat what comes out of the oven. Just like this past weekend was Richard's birthday, and I baked him his cake because he wanted me and to bake him his red velvet from scratch. And I haven't done baking since Christmas, and oh, that was so good. So I had my treat, and I'm back on track. And I mean, it's real. It's a real struggle, but I mean, with the help of everybody, I'm still able to overcome a lot of these struggles.
That's awesome.
So,
You've
yeah.
been great.
Thank you,
really
ladies.
come out really well. Like you're doing so many.
And Grace, we all have our treats. I
Right.
promise. Yeah.
That's the
It
best
is
part about
okay.
TV when they called it treats. So, all right, well, cool. Well, I know it's after 8. I didn't want to go over more than an hour, but Liz, thank you for being our guest speaker. Thank you to all the other coaches. I think this was really good. I hope everybody enjoys it, watching it after the fact. But I'm going to put a plug. Next week, we're going to talk about cooking, and we're going to have, who is it? It's Norma and Grace, right? So they're going to be talking about meal prep and how do they cook for littles, and sometimes it might just be Norma and Andy because the kids are all running around, and give you their best tips and tricks. And we would love for you to be here. It'd be much more fun. So
And is Grace going to do something live on the show cooking
yeah,
next week?
make a skinny velvet cake or something.
Oh,
Is there a request? I wasn't planning to.
Low calorie red velvet cake. What is it?
only if you can pass it through the computer to North Carolina.
That's right.
Here you go.
Awesome.
All righty.
We'll have some fun stuff. So hopefully you'll enjoy it. All right, guys. You have a
Bye.
good night. Thank you very, very much.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.
Maybe.